I was saying that there are many types of atmospheric instability, out of which you have studied one type perhaps in your first semester, and that is the thermodynamic instability, right? Maybe you have also heard about the dynamic instabilities little bit in the dynamic meteorology classes. Then there are inertial instability. Have you studied the chapter on instability in the dynamic meteorology in the first semester? All of you?
Sir, we had read that static stability conditions.
Yeah, but that is basically part of the thermodynamic instability. Okay. But other types of instability probably you have not studied, which includes inertial instability, symmetric instability, computational instability, the barotropic and baroclinic instabilities, and so on. Right. So we shall study most of them here in this class. Okay, then we shall talk about the model hierarchy. Okay, different types of modeling like simple models, the intermediate models, the complex models, the filtered models. This is very important. Filtered models, in which we shall talk about the barotropic model. Have you studied about the barotropic model in your dynamic meteorology class? No?
Yes, sir.
Barotropic model or barotropic atmosphere. What have you?
No,
Sir,
sir.
only
Barotropic
barren.
atmosphere.
Atmosphere.
Yeah, you have only studied the definition of the barotropic atmosphere, right? But this is again a detailed topic, right? Barotropic model, barotropic instability, those things are very detailed topics. We shall try to cover some of them in this class. We shall talk about the equivalent barotropic model also, quasi-geostrophic model, okay, two-level baroclinic model. Or baroclinic model, again, there are many types of baroclinic model. We shall talk about one of them, the one which is the simple one, simplest one, the two-level baroclinic model. Okay. Then vorticity and omega equations. Have you studied that in your dynamic meteorology class?
Sir, we had studied the vorticity equation.
Equation, right?
Yes, sir,
Not,
vorticity
not,
equation.
not just the definition, right?
Uh,
What
y-
is,
yes, sir.
okay, so you have studied vorticity equation, that's good. And what
Yes,
about the
and the what the components represent.
right? Okay, so vorticity equation you have studied it seems in detail. What about the omega equation? Omega equation, people are silent. Either you don't remember
No,
or you have not
sir.
studied.
No, sir.
You have not studied the
Yes,
omega
sir.
equation. All right, so we shall study the omega equation. Vorticity equation you have already studied. Fine. Then another important topics are the numerical discretization. Okay, this is a very important topic. How the model equations are discretized horizontally and vertically. Those things we shall talk here. In which we shall talk different types of horizontal discretizations, that is finite difference scheme. By any chance, some of you might have studied numerical methods in your BSc. Have you studied that? Numerical methods in your BSc course? Or the computational physics? Have you studied computational physics in the BSc? Any one of you?
No, sir.
So people are
Yes,
silent.
sir. So,
Yeah, that means you have not studied. So sometimes in some of the universities, this is taught at the BSc level also. The numerical analysis as part of the mathematics. Of course, that is a part of the mathematics course, but sometimes it is also taught to the physics student. The mathematical physics or numerical, computational methods in physics. So anyway, we shall talk about here those things now, which are applicable to atmospheric model. Again, numerical model methods, is a specialized subject. People who are doing MSc mathematics, they study in detail about that. But we shall talk only those topics which are relevant to atmospheric models, right? Among them, we shall talk about the finite difference method. We shall talk about the finite volume method. We shall talk about the spectral method of discretization. We shall talk about the time integration also, numerical integration schemes. Among the numerical integration scheme, of course, we shall talk some of the time integration schemes because that is applicable to atmospheric models, right? When you know what is the prognostic model, isn't it? When you say prognostic models, that means, as you said, I think in the last class, some of you said that if it has a tendency equation, time tendency equation, that means it is supposed to be a prognostic equation, right? You remember, isn't it? Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So, but then if you have a time tendency equation, right? Terms like, suppose I start using the drawing board, time tendency equations, I'm sorry. Terms like del U divided by del T, del V divided by del T, right? Del T divided by del T, right? Del Q divided by del T. These are all time derivatives or tendency equations of the U component of the wind, the V component of the wind, and the temperature, the specific humidity, right? And you have studied these kind of equations in your dynamic meteorology, isn't it? The momentum equation, the thermodynamic equation, the moisture continuity equation, those things you have studied in your dynamic meteorology, isn't it? Yes or no?
Yes,
Everybody
sir.
is silent. You have studied, I know. So when you have equations like del U by del T is equal to the advection term like U del U divided by del X plus V del U divided by del Y plus W del U divided by del Z, right? Plus the pressure gradient terms, plus the Coriolis terms, right? Plus the friction terms, etc., etc. There are so many terms, isn't it? This is one component of the momentum equation, right? You remember this? You have to be interactive. Say yes or no.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So if you have an equation like this, you need to solve the value of U at time t plus delta t, right? I mean, one way, as you have studied in your BSc, these are all differential equations, right? They are all differential equations. Or differential equations, generally, what you have studied is solved analytically, right? You have an analytical solution of the differential equation. But all differential equations cannot be solved analytically, right? Because they are non-linear. Only the linear differential equations you can solve analytically. And most of the atmospheric models, the governing equations of the atmospheric models, contain non-linear differential equation, right? And to solve the non-linear differential equations, you have to solve them numerically, right? Numerical integration. So to solve this term del U by del T, you need to have numerical time integration, right? Numerical differentiation is required for these horizontal advection term or vertical advection term. They are all the horizontal and vertical advection terms, right? They are the horizontal. This is this part. This part is the horizontal advection term, isn't it? You know advection, right? Advection. V dot del V.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, this is the advection. So this is the horizontal advection term, and this is the vertical advection term, right? horizontal and vertical. So this you discretize, that means you express in terms of the grid points. As you maybe, I mean, we will study more in detail in the subsequent classes. To solve these equations, you have to discretize these things in a space. And this one, you have to integrate with time to get the value of t plus delta t, the value of u at t plus delta t. You have to use time difference scheme. So all these things, methods, we shall try to study in this numerical integration schemes. Okay, finite difference scheme, the finite volume scheme, the spectral methods, the numerical integration scheme. All these things we shall study in this class, which are used to solve those differential equations, right? Then we shall talk about the CFL criteria. Have you heard about the CFL criteria? Has anybody talked about the CFL criteria in any of the classes before?
No.
No. Well, CFL criteria is very important criteria. Its full form is Courant, Frederick, and Lewis condition. Right? We shall talk in detail about that later on. Then we shall talk about the schemes which are unconditionally stable or conditionally stable, or schemes which are unstable, right? Those things we shall talk in detail. Because when you are solving these equations, right? This slide is visible to you, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. When you are trying to solve these equations using numerical schemes or numerical methods, there are so many types of numerical methods, right? And unless you use proper type of numerical schemes, your solution will not be stable, right? Your solution will be unstable. And if your solution is unstable, then you will get the output as garbage, all junk, absurd values you will get, right? Actually, when I mentioned earlier, computational instability as one of the instabilities, which are very important for the numerical modeling, right? So that computational instability is basically coming here. And we have to ensure that whatever schemes we are using to solve these equations, they provide us the stable solution for these equations, right? So those things we shall study as part of this CFL condition, Courant, Frederick, and Lewis condition, and different types of schemes, some of which are unstable, some of which are stable, some of which are conditionally stable, etc., etc. Okay, so talk about the model components, different components of the model. I mean, some of it you are already familiar with that. Then we shall talk about the dynamic core of the model. Also, part of it you are familiar, I hope. Then physical parameterization, we shall only talk about the introduction part in this semester, because the details of physical parameterization is a part of the NWP course in the next semester, third semester. And this physical parameterization it's given here in only one line, but actually this may cover about 10 to 12 lectures. Actually, when I am writing lecture 8, lecture 9, doesn't mean that now in one lecture all these things will be covered. No. This lecture 8 can take several lectures, some 5, 6 lectures or more than that, right? Similarly, this lecture 9 can take several lectures, 5, 6 lectures, more than that. And so is the case like physical parameterization, as I said, it may take more than 10 lectures, physical parameterization schemes. Coupling of the components, okay, we can finish this in one lecture. And global and regional models used in weather forecasting and atmospheric simulation. Again, minimum 2 to 3 or 4 lectures are required for this global and regional models used in weather forecasting and atmospheric simulations, right? So that will cover your entire syllabus, right? And we have already talked about the reference books for reading. You already have the list of that. And among all those, I have highlighted two books here. One is the Halton, other is Rendall. Okay, all of you must be having a copy of the Halton book, I'm sure, right? But many of you might not have downloaded this Rendall book. How many of you have downloaded this Rendall book? Introduction to Atmospheric Modeling.
Sir, I have.
Shyam Sundar, you have done, huh?
Sir,
Yes, sir.
me.
Devasis. Okay, Devasis and Shyam Sundar. Right. So all of you also must download that book. That is Introduction to Atmospheric Modeling by David Rendall. Okay. And I shall be also referring to some other books.
Sir, I have also downloaded the Stull RP.
Stull. Okay, Stull is a good book. That is on boundary layer meteorology. Very good book. Stull is actually a professor of meteorology at British. Actually, he's in the maybe he must have retired by now at British Columbia University, Canada. And the book which he has written on boundary layer meteorology. If you have seen that book, it is like a classroom lecture. Very nicely written book. Very interesting with lots of illustrations, diagrams. Whatever he was teaching in his class, Professor Ronald B. Stull, that is the full name. He wrote in terms of the book called, oh, this is a different book. I was talking about different. But this is a book on meteorology for scientists and engineers. Which book you have downloaded? Dosis?
Sir, this meteorology one, this for scientists and engineers.
Oh, this one you have done. Okay, fine. That's fine. That also must be introductory. I was talking about another book on boundary layer meteorology, which is very, very important and very good book. And other book, Wallace and Hobbes, all of you already have. We have studied that in detail in first semester, right? And the theoretical meteorology by Hess, I think many of you or most of you may not be having that. Because it is a very old book, very good book, but old book and out of publication now. So you will not be able to get this book. Some people have kept as a photocopy of that, but it's not available generally. But anyway, if you have these books, Halton and Rendall, and plus Wallace and Hobbes, you already have. And this General Meteorology by Byard, also a very good book, classical book, talks about the general aspects. So that will suffice your course for this semester. And whatever topics which I shall be referring to, which may not be in these books, I shall anyway provide you the lecture notes or PowerPoints at the end of each topic, right? So that's what it is, right? So as we were discussing earlier, your first topic is on weather and climate model, and most of you, I know, are familiar with the weather and climate models we have already talked about. And last time I was just asking you that what are the components of these climate models, and the one which the answer which I was trying to expect from you is that as I showed in this equations, actually these are the part of the equations of the climate model or weather model. Right? Any weather model have the basic governing equations that you are already familiar, isn't it? You are already familiar with the basic governing equations, right? Like what are the basic governing equations? Most of you already know it, I know. Tell me once again. What are the governing equations? People are silent. Weather and climate.
So, continuity equation, horizontal momentum equation.
Yes, correct. Like one is your momentum equation, right? Momentum. Is this screen visible to you? When I'm writing on this board, it's visible to you. So there are two components of this that you already know, right? Horizontal and vertical. And horizontal also there are two components. One is the zonal, another is the meridional. You have to be interactive, right? One contains U, that is the zonal component, other is the V, the meridional component, isn't it? That is the momentum equations. Then you have got,
Continuity equation.
okay, mass continuity equation. You can say mass continuity equation. Then third,
Energy
Vorticity
conservation.
equation.
well, vorticity equation basically is a derived equation considered to be a diagnostic equation, because in that equation, basically you just try to diagnose the vorticity. I'm talking about the prognostic equation.
So the thermodynamic equation.
Correct. Thermodynamic equation, right? Then,
So thermal wind equation.
now that is basically again a diagnostic term. It doesn't come as a part of the fundamental equations. I'm talking about the fundamental equations.
Sir, hydrostatic equation.
Okay, you can consider hydrostatic equation. What else?
Moisture equation.
Correct. Moisture continuity equation. This was the mass. This is the mass continuity equation, and other is the moisture continuity equation. Then, what else? What else?
Sir, energy conservation.
Well, that is an integral property of the atmospheric conservation of mass or energy, entropy, etc. They are the integral properties of the atmosphere. Another important equation you might have studied, maybe you don't remember, is important equation. What is that?
PB equals to sir, P is equals to rho RT, equation of state.
Equation of state. Okay, I mean that is again part of the thermodynamic equation. You can say, I mean, but not considered to be a prognostic equation. PV is equal to RT is not a prognostic equation, right? And most of it, again, in these equations also, one or two are not prognostic, but they are the fundamental equation. Another equation that you do not remember probably is the pressure tendency equation. Have you heard about this pressure tendency equation? Yes or no? Everybody is silent. There is no. So we try to find out the future state of the atmosphere based upon these fundamental equations, right? And for that, we need to solve such kind of equation. I've written only small part of the complete equations, right? But they have to be solved numerically by using different or appropriate numerical methods. Right? So this is what I was trying to extract or expect the answer from you when we're talking about the weather and climate models, right? Rest of the things you are familiar with, what are the components of the weather and climate, that you are already familiar, I know. But what is the important point which differentiates between a weather and climate model? What is the important point which differentiates between weather and climate model? You know the definition of weather and climate, right? All of you. Yes or no? All of you know the difference between weather and climate.
Yes, sir.
Right. But
Yes, sir.
when we talk about the models, the weather and climate models, basically both the models contain similar governing equations, right? All these governing equations that we just listed out, all these equations which we have listed out are true for both weather and climate models, right? And as you know,
Yes,
the fundamental laws on which these equations are based, that also you know, that the most fundamental equation, say for example for this momentum equation, is what? Who can tell? for this momentum equation, what is the most fundamental law based upon which this equation is based? Tell me. The fundamental law on which this momentum equation is based.
Sir, Newton's law.
Yeah, exactly. Newton's law. And particularly the Newton's which law? First, second, or third?
Second law.
Second
Yes,
law.
Exactly, second law. So, whether it is a weather model or whether it is a climate model, all these equations are applicable to both the models. What is that which differentiates between the weather and climate model? That you must know, right? That you must know. Do you know? Yes or no? Everybody is silent.
No, sir.
No. Yeah. See, when we are solving a weather model or weather prediction model, details we will talk about in this third semester NWP. But as you know, to solve the weather prediction model, one of the most important thing is the initial condition that you already know, don't you? Initial conditions,
Yes, sir.
yeah, initial conditions for all these terms, right? Whether it is a del U by del T, or let us say U, V, T, Q, right? P, etc., etc. You must have the initial condition, the initial values of all these things in three-dimensional space, right? Suppose if this is your model, of the Earth, this is, let us say, Earth, and these are different layers. Vertical layers. The entire atmosphere is divided into so many layers. Say 1, 2, and so on, up to n number of layers, right? And also, horizontally, you have discretized your domain into several grid points or grid boxes. So let's say these are your grid boxes, right? So all these variables U, V, T, Q, P, you must have at all these grid points. These are, let us say, the grid points, right? They are the grid points, crossing points. Or let us draw it more in detail here. You have divided your entire domain, whether it's a global model, then you have a global domain, or if you have a regional model, then you have a regional domain. You have discretized them. If you are using a finite difference technique to solve the equation, you have to discretize them like this horizontally, and similarly also vertically, like all the vertical levels. So at all these grid points, they are the grid points, right? They are the grid points, and so on. At all these grid points, you have to have the initial values of the variables U, V, T, Q, P, etc. Then only you will be able to solve those equations which you have seen, and they are called the initial conditions, right? Initial conditions of the model, right? The other important thing that you must have is the boundary condition. What are the values on these boundaries? Suppose if this is your horizontal boundary, right? This is horizontal, and similarly you have got the vertical also. Boundary, that means that is one which your entire domain is bounded by these surfaces. One at the bottom of the atmosphere and other at the top of the atmosphere. This is, let us say, top of the atmosphere, right? So you must have the values of these variables at the bottom of the atmosphere as well as at the top of the atmosphere, right? At least that much if it is a global model. If it is a regional model, that means you must have also the values of these variables available at the western boundary, let us say, and the eastern boundary. Right? This is, let us say, east, and this is, let us say, west. So the values of these variables must be available at the eastern boundary and the western boundary, also at the northern boundary and the southern boundary. Right? Especially when it is a regional model. We have got one freedom or advantage in case of global model, that because the global models are covering the spherical surface of the earth, right? So whatever, when you just make a projection of the sphere onto a horizontal surface, basically whatever is there at the west becomes same as east. Right. So that is an advantage. But still, when you are using numerical models, you need to have many things specified appropriately. Otherwise, the solution of these equations which you saw, you will not be able to get the solutions properly. And so, in order to get the sensible values or solutions of these equations, you must specify a proper values at the boundary as well as the initial condition, right? Boundary at values at the boundary means horizontal boundary as well as the vertical boundary, right? Now, I was asking that what differentiates between a weather and climate model is that in case of the weather model, these initial conditions are very, very important. These are conditions of this, right? But in case of the climate model, the boundary conditions are very, very important. Boundary conditions are very, very important, right? But what is that boundary condition, which is so important? And I'm emphasizing so much. What is that boundary condition? Say, for example, when you are using a weather model, how long do you think that we integrate such models? When you say we are integrating these models with time, u t plus delta t. So what is the length of the numerical integration of such weather models? Tell me that you know already. Typically, what is the length of the integration of the weather model? Tell me. You already know it. You have to just recall it.
Sir, length of integration is resolution.
No, length of the integration I'm asking. Length of integration. That means when you are making a numerical weather prediction, how long do you expect that you can predict the weather reasonably good in accuracy? That is the length of the integration.
So basically it related to days, sir.
So tell me, how many days?
Sir, it depends on the type of model. Like for nowcasting, it is a few hours,
Mhm.
and like that, and global, like for the seasonal ones, we have about few months length of
Mhm.
integration. and the everyday weather forecast we have 1 day as the length of integration.
Okay, I mean, you know more or less correctly. Basically, I mean, depends on the time scale, right? When you are doing the nowcasting, as you say, just for a few hours, like 6 to 12 hours, generally we integrate the model for nowcasting. So in other words, we are integrating this ut plus delta t. Now this delta t, you know what is the typical value of delta t? When you are saying this delta t, do you know what is the delta t value typically? Probably no. Well, the value of the delta t will depend what is the grid resolution. And as I mentioned earlier, there is a very important condition called CFL condition, the Coran, Fadrick, and Lewis condition, which we shall talk in detail later on. But the value of delta t is dictated by the CFL criteria, which relates delta t with the delta x, the grid resolution. Delta x means what is the distance between the grid delta x. This is the delta x. This is the delta y. What is the grid distance resolution, right? So the delta t is dictated by the grid resolution. And do you have any idea of what could be the delta t? Any idea? Approximate idea?
Sir, it is the time for which the atmosphere changes.
Well, not exactly. I'm asking in terms of the numerical models. Typically, what is that? This is called the time step also, delta t, time step.
90 seconds.
Well, yeah, I mean, 90 seconds is one value, but that 90 seconds depends on what is the resolution. So what it means is that the value of delta t is in terms of the seconds, right? One thing is clear, as you said, 90 seconds. That means the delta t values are in terms of the seconds, right? Let's say you said 90 seconds. Now, 90 seconds का मतलब क्या हुआ? 1.5 minutes, isn't it? 90 seconds is what?
Yes, sir.
1.5 minutes. And if you are making a nowcasting, which is about, let us say, 6 to 12 hours, तो 12 घंटा के लिए you are running the model for 12 hours, let us say. And your time step is 90 seconds, let us say. Let us say 1 minute. I mean, to make it more approximate. So your time step is, let us say, 1 minute. So in 12 hours, how many times or how many time steps you have to integrate the model? Count. Time step is 1 minute. So to run for 1 hour, that means you have to run or integrate for 60 times, right? 60 minutes is 1 hour, isn't it? Yes or no?
Yes, sir. So then we have to do it for 12 hours. It will be 16 to 12, 720 times.
720 time steps, right? So that means you have to solve these equations. All these equations you have to solve 720 times, isn't it? You have to solve these equations how many times?
720 times.
Exactly, because if you are solving only once, you are getting the value only for 1 minute. And if you have to go up to 12 hours, that means you have to solve this equation 720 times. But that is, mind you, that is at only one level. That is only at one level. And you have got many levels also in the vertical, because atmosphere is three-dimensional, right? Atmosphere is three-dimensional, right? So suppose if you have 100 levels in the vertical, typically nowadays in mesoscale models we have about 30 to 40 levels in the vertical. But in global models, no, we have nowadays, we have got a good computing power. So we can have 100 levels in the vertical. So to solve it for 12 hours for nowcasting, how many times you said for 12 hours? 720 hours. 720 time steps, isn't it? For one horizontal level. And for all the horizontal levels in the vertical, if you have 100 levels in the vertical, that means 100 times 720. कितना हो गया? कितना हो गया? 100 times 720. Tell me. 100 times 720 is how much?
72,000.
72,000, sir.
200.
72,000. Numbers, don't it sound quite big? These numbers, 72,000 times. If you have to solve these equations 72,000 times, doesn't it sound quite large? 72,000 times. These differential equations have to be solved. To be able to get the solution just after 12 hours. But if you have to get the values of the atmosphere after 24 hours, एक दिन के बाद, after one day if you want to do, that means again double of that. In 24 hours, you have to double. That means 72,000 times 2. And if you have to integrate for 2 days, 48 hours, that means 72,000 times 3. And so on. And typically, say NC, MRWF, or nowadays, we make so-called medium range forecast, right? The weather models are generally integrated for medium range and sometimes extended medium range, which is considered to be about 15 days, right? So just imagine if it is to be integrated 72,000 into 2, that means कितना हो गया? 1,44,000 times. If the equations have to be solved 1,44,000 times to get the forecast of 1 day, 24 hours. That is for 10 days forecast. Imagine how many times you have to solve these equations. 10 times 1,44,000. That means how much? Almost 14 lakhs times, 15 lakhs times. You have to solve these equations. Doesn't it sound quite a big number? So just imagine that is the situation for weather prediction model. And when we are talking about the climate model, the climate models are generally integrated for how long? When we talk about the climate models, they are integrated for how long? Tell me. Typically,
Sir,
the climate models are integrated for how long?
for a decade or so.
Yeah, I mean, that's the minimum thing we talk about. Say 1 year.
So for around a decade.
Yeah, or 10 years. Sometimes we talk about, all these people who know nothing about the climate models. They talk about the climate in the next century. And century is 100 years, right? Or minimum 50 years. Global warming हो रहा है, global warming हो रहा है. And Earth will be very warm in after 50 years or next century after 100 years. They talk about so many things and so many hypotheses, so many speculations they make, but they know nothing about the climate models actually. And they talk about the climate will be dry, there will be lots of rain or no rain, agriculture will be very bad or very good. There will be lots of intense thunderstorms or very intense cyclones. They talk about so many things without knowing what is really the complications or physics and dynamics inside these climate models. So just imagine we have to integrate the model for about 1,44,000 times 10 for 10 days forecast. How many times you will have to integrate for making a 10 years forecast for the climate for 1 decade or for 1 century, 100 years? Can you imagine? And all these things have to be done. Therefore, you cannot do it by your laptop or by your simple PC or your workstation. You have to have a very big computer, very powerful computer, supercomputer, right? And that's why when we say the supercomputer, typically, you know, what is the speed of the supercomputers? The one which is available, say, in India, the highest supercomputer, what is the speed of that? Do you know? You know, where is the supercomputer, I mean, which is the highest in power? Everybody is silent. One is at IITM, of course, IITM. Other is at NCMRW. Right? And both are part of the Ministry of Earth Sciences. Right? And typically,
Yes, sir. Sir, almost 100
Yeah.
petaflops.
kitna?
Sir,
Approximately.
almost 100 petaflops.
Not so much. We still are not so rich. 100 petaflops, बहुत ज़्यादा number हो गया. And we wish we should have that much powerful computer, but unfortunately we don't have yet that. IITM about 5 petaflops.
Sir, how
And
much?
About 5 petaflops, IITM computer, but 5 petaflops. And NCMRWF is about 2 or 3 petaflops. So together we have got in the country 8 petaflops. You know what is petaflops? You know what is petaflops?
Sir, floating points operation per second.
Correct. And 1 petaflop is how many floating point operation per second?
10 to the power
10 raised to
15.
12.
10 to the power?
10 to the power 15.
Yeah, 10 to the power 15. 10 to the power 12 is giga. When you say gigaflops, that is 10 to the power 12. But petaflop is 10 to the power 15. So 10 to the power 15 calculations or operations per second it can make. Right? It can make 10 to the power 15 calculations per second. And that's why when we say we need to integrate, say, 1,44,000 times to get a 24-hour forecast, for example. And that too, mind you, if your model resolution is supporting 90 seconds time step, which will depend upon the grid size, by the way. If the grid size is further finer, smaller, then you have to use sometimes even smaller time steps. Say, for example, if your model resolution is 1 kilometer, that means your grid boxes, the size of these grid boxes are 1 kilometer by 1 kilometer each. Then, you know, typically you need to have a time step of about 1 second. Just imagine, अब तो और 90 times ज़्यादा हो जाएगा. That means you have to integrate the model 90 times this value, right? So many computations, so many calculations, and I'm talking only about the very simplest part of it, not thinking about the complex physics. In physics also, when you are adding the physical processes, because all these equations must have the physical processes also in that. When you are adding the physical processes, no, computational times becomes even enormous computer time. By the way, do you have a class at 12:30? Yes or no? Because it's already 12:32.
Yes, sir, we have a class.
Oh, then I must stop. Whose class is there today? Janti ma'am. So then it's already,
Ma'am,
okay. So if that is so, then I have to stop for today immediately because it's 12:32 now. All right. So anyway, we shall continue this discussion in the next class. Okay. And I'm going to stop for today. Any question quickly? Just stop sharing the screen. Stop sharing. Any quick question? I see only 9-10 people are here. Since that you have no question, then we can continue with this lecture in the next class. All right. Is it okay?
Okay, sir.
All right.
Sir.
So I'm going to stop this recording.
Okay, sir.
Thank you, sir.